Hi everyone, welcome to Porterhouse Brewery. So today we're joined by Peter. Peter's going to take us a tour around the brew house and you get to see behind the scenes, so come and check it out. So Peter, 10,000 litres brew length, 3-vessel brew house. How long?
That's our standard. We can do down to 5,000 litres if we want. We can take it up to 10. Sometimes we're a bit greedy and squeeze a little bit more in as well, but 10,000 would be a fairly standard.
It's a Musk engineering installation. Yeah.
Production started here in 2017. Yeah. This is our third brewery that we've had. Obviously, we started in Parliament Street in Dublin as a Brewpub back in '96. We moved to our second brewery in 2000. The idea is we were there for 4 or 5 years. We ended up spending 17, 18 years there in the end. And then we moved here in 2018, production fully started, but we were doing some small trial batches in 2017.
It's very much a nicely well laid out automated system. So
well, it's semi-auto. It's important to keep in touch with what you're doing in the process. So there's elements of automation. Well, we're starting at the beginning with weighing out. Is we have a recipe on our system. It'll pull the different grain in as we need. We take some in bulk, whether that's from our malt silos outside of base malt. We have some tote bags of material that we're using in quite large amounts, crystal malt, wheat malt, 2 of them. And then we're adding in bags of malt, just like any other brewer would do in part of the process. That gets weighed out, milled. That's an automatic process. Mashing in is essentially automatic. It's just a simple infusion mash, so it's all isothermal. We mash in at 65 upwards, 67, 68, depending on the beer. And after that, the runoff, there's a little bit of stepping in by the operator. It's relatively minimal. And then the process goes through more or less to the fermentation, again, with a bit of manual intervention, but more or less automatically. It was never my intention when we built this to have something that we just press a button and work pops out at the end. That's not what that's not what we're about.
Take the viewers through the brew process. So we mash in here.
So mash in here. So grain's coming in from our grist case with a steel smasher there, which gives us a good even consistency of malt to or grist to liquor. In here we get a rest of 60 minutes generally. Obviously where we're getting the conversion to the sugar and colour extraction. The wort is taken out, transferred into our copper. So as I said before, we brew anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 hectolitres or litres of wort, which is 60 barrels in 30-60 barrels in old money. It's a copper whirlpool with an external wort boiler. When we get the volume up, the pump cuts out through the thermosiphon, we get the whirlpool effect. So then we can, at the end of that process, we can do any number of things. We can chill the wort down if we want for hop forward beers, do a very traditional stand transfer to the fermenter. Alternatively, we can transfer the wort into our hop back as well. So we have a variety of different options available to us. With a hop back, we're using whole leaf hops, obviously. And generally, for our probably more traditional ales and stouts, we use that. And it just enables us to put more beer through the brewery as well in any given time. We can very quickly empty this in a few minutes and restart this at points in time where we're looking to brew 2 or 3 times in a day.
So then it comes out of hot side production through the plate chiller and down to one of the fermentation tanks that we have here.
That's right. So fermentation's on the right hand side. It's quite simple and straightforward. 50 hectolitre fermenter. We've rather oversized ale fermenters. We've a house strain of yeast which is very flocculent. So although our fill height is only down here, we get massive farm of yeast produced, which will fill our vessel up here quite easily. So we have these big oversized fermenters for that accordingly. So we have a couple of 100 hectolitre ale fermentation vessels here. We've got 200 hectolitre fermentation vessel here. Obviously that's used for our volume plain porter, Irish stout beers. We've also got cylindrical fermenters as well. 100 and 200 hectolitres. We do, although the volume is staying steady as a percentage of our overall volume, it's decreasing. From about 50% of our beer historically would have been lager, actually.
Okay, right. So your other styles are growing in popularity.
Yeah. As the interest in IPAs, beers of that style are growing. We're still doing the same volume, but they're just sort of declining in the overall proportion. Maturation's over here.
Okay.
So we've got 200 hectolitre conditioning bright beer tanks on this side.
Yeah.
On the far side we have some 100 hectolitre tanks. We've also a number of 50 hectolitre tanks as well. A disproportionately large number, you might say, of 50 hectolitre tanks. Because a lot of the beers that we might do in small batches tend to be higher strength. It just gives us time to having extended maturation for those types of beers. And it just gives a bit of flexibility in case we want to send beer in different directions as well, and we're not quite ready.
You've got a nice view here over the brewhouse floor, so you're packaging multiple formats. Cans, bottles, kegs.
Pub business in general is running better.
Yeah.
Our keg wash is now running finally at a more professional rate, which is good to see. We've then got the bottling line behind that.
Yeah.
So we do contract, as well as brewing our own beers, we do contract work for the brewers as well, whether that's bottle or keg and can. We can fill 50 litre kegs, 20 litre kegs, 30 litre kegs.
Yeah.
Bottle sizes, again, we can do 330s, half litres, and anything in between.
Yeah.
And then we can do some more keg can runs as well.
Yeah.
I was interested in changing the way we filter our beer. Filtration's something we've always done. We obviously, with brewing of large amounts of lagers, filtration in our mind anyway is important for that. So then we also filter obviously our ales, or some of our ales. So we're looking at an alternative to traditional diatomaceous earth filtration, which is what we've used in the past. Because of the issues with using powders, they're quite unpleasant to work with, and you have a big disposal issue at the end of it as well. We have a trained operator who has to be fairly on the ball with how the filter's running during the course of it. We were looking at an alternative to that, and we were approached by a company, Pentair, about looking at their cross-flow filtration, which is this unit here, which we're really pleased with, actually. Filtered, it essentially gives a sterile filtered beer. Very little input from the operator. It takes, essentially it takes care of itself, CIPs itself, and it's also now just to eliminate the use of isinglass in our process as well.
Yeah. So it's been a great addition to the brew house.
Tremendous. Yeah. I'm really pleased with it, actually. And it's never looked back really with that. And it's not had a detrimental effect on our stouts, which traditional filtration we felt always had them. Yeah. So we tend to avoid that.
I suppose something good to touch on would be your company or group perhaps also has Dingle Distillery?
Yep, we opened Dingle in 2012. We started production down there.
Incredible whiskey, not to mention, you've also got great gin and vodka, but I would be a whiskey drinker rather than a gin or a vodka drinker, so. Yeah,
we're tremendously pleased with that. Yeah. And not a little surprised as well how well it's caught on with people. Obviously the last 10 years has seen a massive resurgence in people's interest in Irish whiskey. Yeah. But I think we're somewhat taken aback with just how successful that's become.
And the blend of the brewery working with the distillery with some of the specials, the barley stuff, has been incredible as well. It's been
it gives us an opportunity to tie in the two businesses, which wasn't really necessarily something that we thought about at the beginning. Yeah. But sometimes it's nice to tie the two parts of our group together. Obviously I was heavily involved in the distillery side of business, and it's nice to have something that joins the two and connects the two.
Peter's brewing today. I'd say you probably do 75-80% of the brewing here, and I was asking him how has he managed to manage that, but it's just good delegation and good management.
I managed to get rid of all the mundane stuff. and do what I enjoy.
So you have an unusual setup where you're using the popular speciality tote bags to freeze. There's loading cells and conveyors then that...
No, it's not. This isn't unload cells.
Okay.
Again, we're looking to try and eliminate a lot of the manual handling that is involved with the brewing process. And obviously when you're brewing with recipes that have, like today is 2 ton of malt in there, and there's a high proportion of adjuncts in that. It's just to eliminate some of that manual handling that we have. So we decided to go with this system here. The tote bags themselves aren't unload cells, but they're connected back to our hopper on our mill, or above our mill, which has a load cells on that. So it can work out how much of this to take over at any one given time of, well, we've got wheat and crystal here at the moment, of those malts, and it's it gives a high degree of accuracy in that recipe. We then, in that weighing out process rather, we can then, if we're using some material that we're not, I don't know, let's say dextrin malt, which wouldn't be a major part of our grist, we can then add that in a bag quantity. Yeah, it's a chain and disc conveyor, so basically then sweeps the grain over to the mill, and we can also add in any liquor treatment we're adding in here, gypsum, flake, salt, whatever we're putting into any beer, and that can all go in at this stage as well, so it gets distributed through the mash quite evenly as well.
Specialty malts are tote bags here, and obviously then 25 kg dropped into the hopper, and then you keep base malts outside.
So base malts we have outside, we've got 3 silos outside. They're one's ale malt, one's lager malt, and one's spare, obviously waiting for the next delivery of malt coming in from the maltster. So that again is brought over in a manual, well, in an automatic method rather, to give us the recipe, the quantity the recipe is requiring in that actually. So it eliminates a lot of the manual work that weighing out requires.
You're not digging out the mash tun at the end of the day either then? Is it pumped out?
It's kind of automatic. So it's swept out, pumped away. We've a silo again outside, and the farmer just comes along every week or so and just takes away the contents of that. So again, it's a long time since anybody jumped in our mash tun. It's fair to say.
We are very grateful for the support you give us. You support us as a local business. You're an independent business here. You have your own bars in...
Yeah, we have a couple of bars in Dublin. Obviously we have bars in London. We have 2 bars in New York as well. So that accounts for a good part of our beer volume. But we supply the supermarkets, independent retailers in Ireland here, and obviously we export quite a bit of our production.
The beers are readily available throughout Ireland. They're available in the independent off licenses, they're available in lots of different bars. We're going to pop the link to the website so that you can find out where you can get the beer. Taste the beer, try the beer, let us know your feedback, stick it in the comments below. So thanks for your time today, Peter. Thanks for showing us around the brewery, and until next time, happy brewing.